This is the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller. We haven't done one of these in a while. This will be podcast number 72. But we're going to do it in one of our favorite formats, our Shooting the Breeze, Shooting the Rock. It's a playoff preview. We'll talk about a couple of year-end awards that we didn't get to in our last live stream. As you know, the Wizards ended the season with a victory over the Miami Heat on Sunday, or on last Sunday, the 13th. So we've had a full season, finished the season 73-9, tying the all-time mark. We broke an all-time mark this season, winning 38 straight games. That breaks the record of 33. And you know what I mean by break, not of course in real life, but that breaks the record of 33 in a row by the 71-72 LA Lakers. That team won the title. That's Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor as well. Gail Goodrich is also on that team. Can't remember who that fifth player is, but I know at some point over the summer, hint, hint, I think we will play them in an exhibition game. So we'll have to do our Wizards, these Wizards, which are the one seed, as I mentioned, 73-9. And we'll talk about them in a moment, and a little more in depth as our player build, Jaymont Summerz. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And what we do is we play the full 82-game schedule of the Washington Wizards through our player build, Jaymont Summerz, who right now we're shooting around here before our first round series. And we do know who our first round opponent will be. And we will be taking on that opponent on Sunday, April 20th. So I hope you join us for that. But let's talk first about some of these superlatives that we have to get to here. So first of all, MVP, no surprise here. Jaymont Summerz is the MVP, as you see, averaging 28.8 a game, 4.2 assists a game. That's actually down from last season. 0.7 steals, half a block a game, which that one is up from last season. Shot 59.4 from the field, and did get my goal of 95% from the free throw line. Last season, I finished 94.9%. And the funny thing was I missed a free throw late that season, and I thought I was going to do it this season too, as I missed one in our live stream late against the Pacers. And I was worried that was going to cost us or cost me that 95%. But I hit enough free throws against the Heat to bring it back up to 95. And as you see here too, I finished at 42.6% from deep. So our player build, Jaymont Summerz, we get the MVP of the league. Now the Rookie of the Year, Zachary Ricochet from the Atlanta Hawks. Our player, Alexander Sarr, finished second, and for most of the season, he was in the second place position. Ricochet led the entire season basically in our simulation, and so Sarr finished second in that voting. Defensive Player of the Year. In real life, unfortunately, Victor Wembanyama is not going to be eligible for this award, but in our simulation, he is eligible. He finishes first in this category. I think Giannis was second in the voting before the season ended, but Wembanyama will end up with the MVP. And we'll do the first team NBA, second team NBA, the rookie team, all that kind of stuff. We'll do that a little bit later on, probably after the playoffs, probably one of the last things we do at the conclusion of the season. And then taking a look at our clutch player of the season, clutch player of the year, Luka Doncic. And as you see, yes, in our simulation, still with the Mavericks. So see, I got your back, Dallas fans. Or at least on NBA 2K25. Next season, he will be on the Lakers, unfortunately, on NBA 2K26 when we do this again. And remember, this is the ultimate career mode. We have played the entire Washington Wizards schedule through our player build, Jaymont Summerz, starting on NBA 2K23, on NBA 2K24, and going for the three-peat this season on NBA 2K25. But as you see, Luka's the clutch player. We were in that running. At one point, we were first as well, but I think last time we looked at the voting there, I think we were running like third. So we probably, I know we finished top 5, but we obviously didn't win. And Luka led most of the season in this category anyway. So Luka gets that in ours. In our simulation here is the Kia Clutch Player of the Year. Sixth Man of the Year, Amon Thompson of the Rockets. And this is one of 2 awards he's going to pick up. And he gets 6th man. We actually had on our Wizards 2 candidates, believe it or not, in 6th man of the year. Malcolm Brogdon from our Wizards, and then Jordan Poole. So they were running at one point, again, last time looking at the voting before the season ended, Brogdon and Poole were running 2nd and 3rd in that category for 6th man of the year. Poole was most of the season, Poole was in the running. A matter of fact, I think there was a point earlier in the season where Poole was number 1. But then Poole got hurt. Brogdon kind of took over the spot in the rotation, didn't let it go. Brogdon kind of became our Wizards 6th man, and Poole kind of moved to the 7th man per se. And Poole eventually dropped out of the 6th man. When he came back off of injury, he jumped back into the 6th man voting and ended up, like I said, last time we looked, I think he was running 3rd and Brogdon was running 2nd. So, Coach of the Year, I guess this is kind of a no-brainer. Brian Keefe getting the Coach of the Year. I guess when you go 73-9, that can happen. But as I've joked a lot on our simulations here, Wes Unseld Jr., in theory, was Coach of the Year twice, you could say, on NBA 2K23 and 24, winning titles. And, of course, he's not our coach anymore. Brian Keefe is. So, but he gets the Coach of the Year here, 73-9 record. If he had that in real life, he'd probably be over 500 as his career mark as a coach. But somehow I don't think that's going to be the case, obviously. The real Wizards are in rebuilding mode, so it's going to be a while before he will get some wins. And a matter of fact, will he even be the coach? If the Wizards get good, will he even be the coach? That's the question right there. All right, so we'll take a look here in just a moment at what will be our playoff seedings and what happened in the play-in over the course of the week. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Shooting the breeze, shooting the rock. We like to do this every now and then. Just get some shots up while we talk about the NBA and, of course, talk about everything that's going on here on Season Long Baller. Here's a good chance now, down in the description. Make sure you check out our new Discord server. The invite is down in the description. I'd love to talk to you and, again, talk all things NBA, Season Long Baller, and sports in general. Yeah, I am a sports head, so guilty there. All right, so let's look at what's going to be happening as the playoffs begin and what happened in the seeding in the play-in games in the East and the West. Now, first of all, there you see Brian Keefe, and now let's look at those seedings. As you can see what's happened, the Boston Celtics are going to be the 8th seed. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But first, we've got to talk about what happened in the East and the West. Now, in the East, the 7th seed was Atlanta. You see that they are the 7th seed. They'll be facing Indiana. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. The 8th seed, Boston. Cleveland was 9, and Brooklyn was 10. Out West, OKC was 7. That held to form. Denver was 8. That held to form as well. New Orleans was 9, and Houston was 10. And again, kind of topsy-turvy compared to the real NBA, where obviously OKC is not a 7 seed, Minnesota not a 2 seed as well in the real NBA. But we'll talk about that in just a bit. Let's look at how Boston became the 8 and how Atlanta became the 7 seed, because that is actually pretty relevant here. Now, first, we'll talk about the 7-8 matchup. That's that's Atlanta against Boston. And I had it confused on the 2X. Thanks for the help out there. But I had it confused, of course, on the live stream. But what it is the 7-8 game. The winner of that game is the 7th seed. The loser advances against the winner of the 9-10 game. And, of course, the loser of the 9-10 game is out. The winner of that game is the 8th seed. And that's how that actually works. So I finally got that situated. All right, so here is the big thing in the Celtics-Hawks game. Hawks were the 7th seed. But if you recall here on Season Long Baller, Trae Young has been out all season for the Hawks. early injury. We played the Hawks like third game of the season. He was already hurt, and he was out for the season. However, much like Jason Tatum did the first time on NBA 2K23 when we were playing, he came back late in the season, rallied the Hawks, and now Hawks are locked up the 7th seed as you see a 59-54 victory for the Hawks over the Celtics. So the Celtics will go into that game with the winner against the winner of the 9-10 matchup. And again, Hawks, as you see, Trae Young leading the way, 5 assists with 19 points. For the Celtics, Tatum led the way with 13. Porzingis had 13 as well. Tatum going 5 out of 10, didn't hit from deep. Porzingis was 3 out of 5 and finished with that same 13 points. And you see Jaylen Brown was only 1 out of 4, 0 for 1 from deep, and had only 2 points. Now, the other matchup, the 9-10 matchup, you had Cleveland and Brooklyn. Cleveland blows out Brooklyn, and again, I know this is the opposite of real life. Cleveland is a 1 seed in real life. Obviously, Boston has the 2 seed, but in this case, Boston's 8, Cleveland's 9. But here in the 9-10 matchup, Cleveland defeats Brooklyn by 16, 60-44. Garland was hot, 8 out of 10 from the field, going 2 out of 2 from deep, finished with 19. Donovan Mitchell had 11, going 5 out of 7. And that eliminates Brooklyn. Atlanta is the 7th seed, and Cleveland will take on the Boston Celtics. You see Cam Thomas had a bad game, 3 out of 11, only 7 points. You notice no Nets scored in double figures, with the Cams, Thomas and Johnson, going a combined 5 out of 17. So we'll stay out east. For now, the winner of this game goes to the 8th seed, and they will get the right to play me as the 1 seed, and that winner was Boston, a 12-point win here. Jaylen Brown recovers from his game against the Hawks with 21. Tatum had 14. Brown 9 out of 14, shooting the ball a lot more. Porzingis still shooting the ball well as he finished with 10. And a 12-point lead for the Celtics. So now we're set up out east with the Hawks with the 7th seed and Boston with the 8th seed. And we'll talk about those matchups in just a moment. But let's go out to the West. As you see, Donovan Mitchell had 17 to lead the Cavaliers. Karis LeVert, again, in real life playing for the Hawks, but here still with the Cavaliers. And, of course, DeAndre Hunter is still with the Hawks. Karis LeVert had 11 to back up Mitchell's 17, but that was not enough. As you see, Garland was only 2 out of 9 for 4 points after having a very good game against Brooklyn. And that is how the East was won. Atlanta with the 7 and Boston with the 8 seed. So out West now, you see for the, again, taking a reminder, OKC was 7, Denver was 8, New Orleans was 9, and Houston was 10. So in the 7-8 game, Thunder against Denver, and again, we'll talk about how the matchups are out West in just a bit. OKC takes the win over Denver, 55-44. OKC becomes the 7th seed. Denver goes into that next game against the winner of the 9-10 game. And you see that Wiggins had 15. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if you're wondering what happened to him, right now he is injured. And that's why he is not in that game. Again, that could be very important as we go out West. And we'll talk about that again in just a bit. But an 11-point win for the Thunder. Without Shai, they still were able to defeat Denver. And the Nuggets, as you see, no surprise, led by Jokic and Murray. They combined 9 out of 14. Both of them were 1 out of 2 from deep, 13 and 9 points respectively. But the Nuggets fall to the Thunder. Now in the 9-10 game, Pelicans lose to the Rockets. Rockets were the 10 seed, a 59-55 game here. Only one that kind of did not go according to the seeding. Pelicans are eliminated. Rockets will advance to take on the Nuggets. We'll talk about that in a bit. Zion Williamson with 16, Brandon Ingram with 15. They combined for 31 of the 55 points for the Pelicans, but that's not enough. And they go 13 out of 19 from the field. That's probably what the Pelicans in real life envision with Williamson and Ingram, but that never did quite come to fruition. And of course, now Brandon Ingram's been traded to the Raptors in real life. For the Rockets, a little bit of a surprise here. Jeff Green leading the way with 13. He took the most shots with 10. Alperen Şengün, who was a member of the Wizards. You remember that last season on NBA 2K24? Rockets actually offered me a trade for Corey Kispert, and we made that deal. That's down in the description that season. Late in the season, we acquired Şengün. That was a pretty impactful acquisition, but Şengün, of course, plays for the Rockets for real, finishes with 10 here, going 5 out of 6 from the field, and the Rockets advance to take on the Nuggets in the 8-10 game. So, Rockets, 10-point lead for the Nuggets with Jamal Murray leading the way, 6 out of 11 from the field. Jokic had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and had double digits with 10, and they defeat the Rockets by 10, 66-55. And again, Jeff Green, I guess he's feeling it. Had more shots than anybody else on the Rockets, went 7 out of 11 from the field, had double digits, only Rocket in double digits. But that was not enough, and the Rockets get a 66-56 victory over the Nuggets. So we will take a look here in just a bit at the playoff seeding now. We'll talk about the playoff seeding in just a moment. And you remember, we've got a new Discord server. And if you're new to the channel, SeasonLongBaller, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It is much appreciated. Now, our playoffs are going to begin on Sunday, April 20th. The actual NBA will begin their playoffs on the 19th. On the 15th through the 18th, of course, this week, that's when you had your play-in games. Then on Saturday the 19th, that's when the NBA starts the playoff games. And for our number one seeded Washington Wizards, we will start playing Sunday, April 20th. So let's take a look at what the seeding is going to be, or what those matchups are going to be out east. Now, the first one we're going to talk about, obviously, is us, Washington and Boston. I have not wanted to play Boston over the past couple of seasons. I've been lucky. For whatever reason, as I've mentioned, Boston never plays up to their abilities in our simulation. I don't know why. The first season on NBA 2K23 was kind of explainable because Jason Tatum had an injury that took him out for the whole season. But in this case, I don't really know why, because they were basically healthy the whole season. And we did play the Celtics 3 times this season. And one of those times, the first game of the season, lost to the Celtics 64-60 in D.C. on what you would kind of say was our ring night after we won the title on NBA 2K24. But I do not want to play Boston in the first round. This is, again, what if Boston decides to finally play up to their level? This will be a very tough matchup for what would be a 1-8 matchup in a first round game. So a first round matchup. And again, we'll start that on Sunday, April 20th. The other matchup, 4-5, Miami and Chicago. Chicago did finally snap their, 16, 17, 18 game losing streak to me since I've been doing Season Long Baller. I have never lost to the Bulls since I've been doing Season Long Baller until the last time we played them in our live stream. Bulls blew us out. I'm sure that felt good for all Chicago fans. But so the Bulls now, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm probably something like 18, 19, and 1 against the Bulls. But they're facing Miami, who's the 4 seed. We have played some games with the Miami Heat. Look at the Epic Showdown from March 3rd. That is worth the price of admission. I promise you. You've got to check that one out. And then in our live stream on the last day of March, we had another very good game. It's not the Epic Showdown, but it's really, really close. You have to check that one out. Is Terry Rozier III went off. And I'm not saying that lightly. He went off against us. And so that game also ended up being a thriller. So playing Miami, the possibility of possibly beating Boston in the first round and then having Miami possibly waiting for us in the second round, that is not an easy matchup. Looking at the other side of the bracket in the East, New York has given us some trouble this season, Milwaukee, we have our way with Milwaukee. Much like Boston, they never seem to play up to their abilities. And a matter of fact, since we've been doing Season Long Baller, this is the first time Milwaukee's been in the playoffs when we've been doing our simulations. This is the third season of Season Long Baller. All right, so the other side, Indiana and Atlanta. Atlanta with Trae Young is dangerous, so I'm a little worried about them. We played Atlanta a lot earlier in the season. Had to play them in the NBA Cup, group as well. So Atlanta can be dangerous, but we did beat Atlanta. Had a couple close games, but we did beat them every time we faced our Southeast Division rivals. I'm more worried about the 2-seed Indiana, who defeated us in our live stream not too long ago. And the Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton have given me trouble this season the whole time. So, again, the possibility of facing Boston in the first round, Miami in the second round, Indiana in the conference finals, that's a pretty difficult road, I think, for what's a 73-9 Wizards team. Maybe that's just me, though. Welcome to the Season Long Podcast. Glad you could join us. This is Season Long Podcast number 72. And as I've mentioned, we're doing this in our shooting the breeze, shooting the rock format that we like to do sometimes on our live streams, just shooting around and we talk NBA. And again, if you like talking NBA, oh yeah, you see that hot from everywhere. If you like talking NBA, or any sport for that matter, check out our Discord, and we'll have that invite link down in the description below. And let's see if we can get a dunk here. Like that. So now let's take a really quick look out west, and then we will wrap this thing up. As you see, Dallas is the 1 seed. They've kind of held on to that. Very significant for Dallas around the NBA Cup title game. In our simulation, Golden State, which is incredible to believe, traded Draymond Green for P.J. Washington, traded him to Dallas. I think that makes Dallas very dangerous in the simulation. But he's injured right now, so we'll see how Denver may be able to use that to their advantage in that 1-8 matchup. Golden State and Phoenix, I've never had a problem with either team. De'Aaron Fox gives me trouble with the Kings, but we've had decent success against them. We've had success against the Spurs, who were the 3 seed. And again, remember, Wemby is not injured in our simulation. But the one that I really want to talk about is at the bottom of the bracket there, 2-7 matchup, Minnesota and OKC. The best part about this is that one of them has to go out there, because I am 1-3 against those teams combined. And honestly, OKC whipped our butt twice. And you see they're the 7th seed. Makes no sense. Again, standings looking like they're flipped. I don't know why OKC's the 7th seed, why they haven't played better in our simulation. But regardless, they had to use the play-in. They're in, but they're the 7th seed. And Minnesota, we split with Minnesota, but the game that they did not have, which was around Christmas time, that they did not have Anthony Edwards, he was injured in our simulation. They blew us out by 20 without Ant. And that was one of the last losses we had before we went on our epic 38-game winning streak, which really changed the complexion of the team and the playoff seeding and all that kind of stuff. But anyhow, it's kind of good to know that one of those 2 teams will be eliminated. And we played Minnesota in the finals last season on NBA 2K24, won that series 4-2. But and Minnesota, I think, beat us twice last season as well. So it's kind of good to know that one of those 2 teams is out. If I had to choose, obviously I'd want Minnesota to win that series because, again, we didn't come close to beating OKC. And even though we had our trouble with Dallas, we won 2 close games with Dallas. I know that'll be a challenge. But, again, OKC whipped us 2 times. We lost 9 games on the season, and 3 of them are sitting in that one matchup, Minnesota and OKC. So that will be interesting as we go through our playoffs. Hopefully you will join us for those playoffs, and we'll see how far we go. And hopefully we will not suffer the same fate as the real team that went 73-9. And that, of course, being the Golden State Warriors losing to LeBron's Cavs some years ago. So that's going to put the wraps here on another Shooting the Breeze, Shooting the Rock, season-long podcast number 72. Want to bring you up to date on what's going on in our simulation and how the playoffs will go. Hope to see you Sunday when we take on the Boston Celtics in Game 1. And if you like what we're doing on the channel, go ahead and give us that like and subscribe. It is much much appreciated. And I haven't asked for it often, but please hit that notification bell because the real Wizards are not in the playoffs. Duh. So I can't say we're mirroring their season like we normally do exactly because they're not playing. So if you want to know when we are going to be in action here in the playoffs, go ahead and hit that notification bell. And also sign up for our Discord. All things Season Long Baller, NBA sports in general. Thank you very much for watching our video. And if you stayed to the end, I very much appreciate it. That's going to do it for Season Long Baller. As soon as we hit another 3 here, like I said, as soon as we hit another 3, as soon as we hit there we go. That's it for Season Long Baller. Much love. Peace.